everyone. Welcome to the Golden Hour and the Manifest to Live Life Golden podcast and YouTube show. I'm Golden Duffy, your host, and today we're talking about struggle. Now, I know that I did a show recently about this, but what I'm seeing out in the world and what some of the energies that I'm feeling, I felt called to do a show again about struggle and why you don't have to struggle and what universal laws actually support you in not needing to struggle anymore. The basics of struggle, like the whole entire reason why you struggle is because of your mind. It's because of the way that your mind perceives the world, the way that your mind perceives everything that's going on around it is what creates the world that you're living. So that internal connection is your most important and most vital as far as getting out of the struggle. It's getting a handle on that mind. It's getting into mind training. It's understanding that your mind literally creates the energy around you. I've said it in so many shows and I'll say it again. That's why I have this wave behind me. Your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, they all go out as waves into the universe and end up breaking down and becoming particles and becoming matter as you drive that energy forward by the way you think and the way you feel. And we're lucky that all of our thoughts don't manifest, but what our thoughts do is they tune us into frequencies that then create the world around us. So that's why your thoughts are super important, but thankfully, they don't all manifest, because if they did all manifest, we'd be in a lot of trouble, right? We'd be in a lot of good and we'd be in a lot of trouble. So luckily, we have that time, that gap, that space between the energy becoming physical so that we can get a handle on it if it's not producing what we want. If we're starting to feel really down and we're starting to feel really miserable, we have ways now, we have tools to get ourselves out of it. So whatever you're struggling with right now, I actually wanted to, interestingly, I didn't do this last time, but I wanted to look up what struggle means, like what the definitions. There's so many definitions of struggle. It's really interesting that there's like six different ways you can struggle. So the first one is a verb. So you can be in the struggle in a verb or it can be a noun. In the verb sense, it's to make forceful or violent efforts to get free of restraint or constriction. So that's like struggling to try to get out of something. Number two is engage in conflict. And they actually say politicians continue to struggle in conflict. And yes, we do see that in our world. Strive to achieve or attain something in the face of difficulty or resistance. So when you're struggling to do something and the energy is dense and it's really, really hard, struggle with or have difficulty handling or coping with. So it's coping with something. Again, that's your mental space, your mental game. Make one's way with difficulty. He struggled to the summit of the world's highest mountain. So that's when we put ourselves up to like physical struggle, right? Like we do triathlons. Well, I don't, but I have friends that do marathons or climb mountains or do things that seem impossible that get us out of our comfort zone. I've shared the Yes Theory. It's one of my favorite YouTube shows where they do things that is like totally out of their comfort zone and they invite other people to do things out of their comfort zone and then they prove to themselves they expand and grow through the journey. As a noun, it is a forceful or violent effort to get free of restraint or resist attack. There were signs of a struggle and there was, a conflict or contest, a power struggle for leadership. So yeah, then there's power struggles, right? There's power struggles in our relationships. So I just want to send each and every one of you so much love today, so much compassion. Being on this human journey is not easy, but the truth is that we are here for it. And that's the beautiful thing. We are here to expand and grow. We are here to see past this illusion. And I personally do struggle. I have my struggles. Just yesterday, I kind of revisited a little. I've kind of taken the summer off and now it's September and I'm like, I didn't totally take it off. I've done shows. I launched another book. So I didn't totally take it off, but it took it off as far as like going after anything that made me feel like I was lacking something. And that's a struggle that I've had doing this journey, being on this entrepreneurial journey myself, putting myself out there, expressing myself, wanting to affect as many lives as I possibly can with this information. There are struggle in that. There has been struggle for me in that. And seeing that last night, I was like, wow, okay, so we can become observers of that. We can become observers of that struggle, and we don't have to tune back into it and become it again. So through my journey, I will get these downloads. I'll get this information. And if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you probably see my posts every day. I do get downloads every single day. It kind of blows my mind, to this day, that I can just sit down and just start and it just floods out of me. And it does affect people. Like, I really get some amazing messages about how people needed to hear that at that moment, which is what makes this such a cool journey, because we're all co-creating it together. Like, I can't do this without you, and you can't do this without me. So coming together and really connecting and understanding that our struggle a lot of times is very individual, but very much a collective in what we are experiencing. I think in the world right now, more than ever before, we're experiencing of some levels of disconnection, because our social media has given us that false sense of connection. It's so interesting, like moving around the world and seeing so many people together, but disconnected, like on their phones at dinner. My husband and I have a pretty strong rule to not be on our phones at dinner, at least. But being on vacation, we just got back from an awesome vacation. I had a birthday last week and it was amazing. One of my best yet. And I'll tell you the secret. The secret to a wonderful birthday is to have zero expectations, because I've blown up my birthdays before and I've been sorely disappointed. And I think cleaning up that internal need for someone to give me something or do something for me to make me feel special, and really standing in that specialness by myself, like knowing who I am and the wholeness of who I am, really has made a difference in what is reflected to me, because I don't have those wounds anymore. I'm not looking for that that admiration anymore, but it's there because I feel it, because they're reflecting it to me. So my family went above and beyond. My husband is amazing. And it was just a really, really incredible trip. We actually left here on, Wednesday night, we went out with the kids for dinner, and our cousin, we call him our nephew though. He's such a sweet, he's amazing. And we all went out to dinner and had so much fun. And then Thursday, I spent the day with one of my great friends. We had a blast shopping and lunching and just had so much fun. And then my husband took me to my favorite restaurant on Thursday night, which was kind of a surprise. It's not my favorite restaurant, but I love their food. It's Joey in Newport Beach in Fashion Island. But it's really, really loud. It's a total vibe though. It's like Newport, the money, the cars, the people, it's a scene, but it's loud. Like, it's not romantic by any means, but we had a great meal. The food is incredible. And then Friday morning we left for Montecito, which is right next to Santa Barbara, which is one of my favorite places to go, and stayed in an Airbnb that was not like what I love, like luxury and boho. It was just like basic and simple. And I went through a little moment there. Here's first world problems for you. I went through a moment there where I was like, oh, this place is not what I wanted. But the coolest thing is I was able to work through that. And I worked through it a little bit with my husband without him getting mad at me, and just kind of processing what we were experiencing. But it was walking distance from the beach. Like, we were so close to this butterfly beach in Montecito that was just incredible. So we were able to be at the beach all the time and go back and forth and hit the sunset every night and go out and have our coffee in the morning. So in that respect, it was perfect. And the Airbnb was fine. It was really fine. But it's interesting what happens when you get into situations like that. And this is part of the struggle. This is the struggle right here. When you get in situations like that and you lose gratitude, right? And you just start looking at all the things that are wrong or not right or whatever. What happens is your mind loves to work on problems. It loves to work on being dissatisfied. So you will struggle with that. You will struggle against this is not okay. This is not working for me. So I went through a half a day like that. And then I realized I went back to, and if you haven't seen the show, and I can't remember what show it is that I did about my Mercedes when I got a new Mercedes, like, I don't know, 6 months ago, and I was dissatisfied about a few things. And I realized that my mind was trying to ruin my new car for me. And I caught myself in this moment that that's what was happening, that this was trying to ruin this amazing trip that my husband planned, that I'm so blessed, right? So grateful that I get to do this and celebrate my life and celebrate our love and being together and getting away and being alone. What? You're just like, what is happening? How is this even possible when I wake up every day and tell everybody you got to be grateful? And then all of a sudden I'm sitting in this place going, okay. So there was resistance and there was struggle. And then I just let it go. And how do you do that? I think it's a major amount of awareness, but also it's a decision, like a strong decision to go, I'm not going to struggle with this. I'm going to be in total gratitude, because what I've noticed about gratitude, which is like the most amazing thing to me, is how quickly the energy shifts when you go into gratitude. The next morning when we got up, we went to a place called Janine's. If you've ever been to Santa Barbara, you know Janine's. I think there's 4 locations, but it's like the hottest breakfast spot, and they have good food. There's always a line at the door. It's crazy. So we got up early, walked to Janine's, which was so cool that we could walk to town. It was a really short walk to town, and got in line, and we get up to the counter. Now, I haven't had coffee. I don't know about you, but I like my coffee like first thing in the morning. I don't think I'm an addict, but I might be. So when we got up at the Airbnb, there was no coffee. There was a coffee maker, and I had an intuition to bring my coffee. I brought my creamer, but I didn't bring my coffee because Airbnbs usually have coffee. So they had a coffee maker, no coffee. They had coffee filters, no coffee. So I, for some reason, didn't check that the day before. So we got up and there was no coffee. So we go on our little walk with no coffee in my system. And we get there and get up into the line. We wait like 5 or 10 minutes. And the girl says, oh, I didn't bring my creamer to the restaurant. She says, oh, we don't have cream. And I was like, what? You don't have cream for coffee? It was like 8:00 in the morning. And I was like, so I made an effort to get like, I don't know, almond milk or oat milk, which is not the same. And I sit down and we start having breakfast, and there's no cream in my coffee. So I'm not drinking it. Like, it just, to me, my husband's like, you don't even really like coffee. You just like cream and sugar. And he's right. He's totally right. So we start eating breakfast, and I realize that I'm getting into this place, and I start to get a little bit lighter and start to focus on gratitude, right? Like, here I am. This is wonderful. I'm with my husband at this great breakfast spot. This is yummy, delicious food. And a guy walks over, and I said, hey, could we get some sugar and maybe, I think I asked him for heavy cream because she said she had heavy cream, and I was getting desperate. And he goes, we don't have any cream? He goes, just hang on a second. And he goes back, and someone had just bought cream. It was like a cream miracle, right? So that's where that shift of gratitude, of not being in this like really miserable place or this place of lack, like, oh, I'm not going to have my coffee. I shifted it so quickly. I know this is a silly, small story, but it is such an indication of how fast energy can work when you are really promoting what you want, when you are really making the decision to move forward, to move towards what really lightens your mood, what makes you feel just a little bit better. All right, so I am sending all of you so much love today. If you are struggling, just take a breath. Just take a breath and become present with me. Really allow your field, your energetic field, to open to what I am expressing. Allow your energetic field to open up to the possibilities that things are getting better, that your conduction, that what you are putting out there is going to be received in the highest energy possible. And that whatever you've been going through, whether it's like depression or misery, or you're fighting, you're in a relationship that's not working, or you've lost your job, you're in between jobs, you're financially struggling, been there, done a lot of that. Whatever it is, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? This is where the road changes. This is where, especially if the energy is super dense, like things are getting really, really hard, that's when it's about to shift, because your desire gets so strong that it drives this wave even faster and stronger towards what you really want. What trips people up is that they get in these places where they are consistently drawing from the same energy, which means they wake up every single day, or you wake up, or I wake up every single day and dread, or feel misery, or feel down, or feel upset about something, or feel like something's, maybe you've been up all night worrying about something and you're in anxiety. That will keep the struggle alive, my friends. It will keep it alive. So in that, there's this energetic conduction, right? Like if you think about it, like just it's a line, right? There's this line, this linear line of energy that's just going, kind of like a train, right? You're on the struggle train, not the struggle bus, but you're on the struggle train, and you're literally driving the energy towards everything you do not want, everything that you've ever said, I don't want to feel this way. I feel awful. I feel miserable. I feel anxious. All of that stuff you are driving through your allowance of whatever's going on in your mind that you don't actually make decisions about. When we don't make decisions in our mind about what would benefit us the most, right? Like when we just let the monkey mind go, right? And it just spirals, and it just allows us to get into these rabbit hole situations, and you just go further and further and further down. When we do that, what happens is you create a momentum that makes it feel really hard to change. And then you start to get hopeless, right? And then you start to get depressed. And then you're just in this energetic field of density where you're not allowing things to feel lighter, or to feel better, or to be in any sort of gratitude whatsoever. One of the major challenges, I think, for people that I see that would change a lot for a lot of people is movement, like not moving your body enough. So all those aches, all those pains, everything is all illness, disease. It's all stuck energy in the body. So if you're not moving the body, especially these days, because it's so easy to just sit around and scroll phones and be on computers and watch TV. If you're not moving your body in a productive way, walking, weight training, whatever you can do, especially in nature, get yourself moving, because that is movement forward. And what it does is it elevates all of these really good, productive hormones that are going to allow you to feel a little bit better. When you feel a little bit better, that's when the momentum starts to shift. That's when things start to change, because just feeling a little bit better will allow a little bit better things to come. And then before you know it, you're like in full-blown gratitude. You can't go from hopelessness to full-blown gratitude because it's too far of a jump. You can try. That's what people say all the time. I'm trying, but it's not about trying. It's not about trying. It's about incrementally making decisions moment to moment to moment about what feels best to me. What can I think about right now that's going to make me feel a little bit better? That's all it is. That nullifies a lot of the struggle. It really does. All right, so let's just jump into all the ways you may be struggling, so that I can give you the tools and the universal laws and truths that can help get you out of it. So some of the different ways that we struggle are, like I said, it's mostly based on our thoughts, our beliefs, our feelings, and our perceptions. So how many times have you been in a situation or a relationship where you perceive something about someone and told yourself a story that created dissension in your relationship, and it wasn't true? It wasn't even true. You just took something, you ran with it. So many times that happens where we put meanings on things because we have wounds, we have triggers, we have traumas. So we put those meanings on it, and then we just blow it out of proportion, and then end up creating a lot of confrontation and a lot of dissension in our own lives and then in the lives of others. So I really watch myself with this, especially with my kids, because it's so easy to go down those holes with people you're living with that are doing things, and then you start to go, well, they're not respecting me and they don't, it's so easy to do that. And the only thing that I've found that does is completely obliterate our family peace. It doesn't ever change things. I'm never saying things in a way that my kids are going to hear it productively. They're just going to fight me on it, right? Everybody's going to be in the struggle. Everybody's going to be in resistance, because what's the energy that I'm sending out, right? It's resistance, it's struggle, it's being upset about something. Nothing changes from that energy field, because the problem and the solution are different energies. So if I really want to change things with my kids, or I want them to know that, hey, I'm fine with doing your dishes if you're working all the time, but if you have a day off, I'm not doing your dishes. You know what I mean? So being able to say something like that, even in jest, even in joking, like doing it jokingly, is probably one of the better ways to do it. I'm trying to think. I did something with my daughter the other day, and it was really funny. Oh, here's a little pet peeve of mom's. So I got this little watch here, my little Fitbit, right? I love my Fitbit because it tells me how many steps I get, and I'm like kind of in a contest with myself. I am really, really into 10,000 steps a day, because I feel like that is like optimal for my health, for my weight, for feeling good about myself, the whole thing. So 10,000 steps a day. If I don't have this thing, I don't know what I did. And I don't feel like I really checked that box off. Like I don't feel like I got my progress in. So I plug it in at night downstairs in the kitchen, and we only have one cube down there, which I've changed since then. I got in solution mode about it, but we only have one cube. So I'll get up in the morning and someone has unplugged my watch and plugged an iPhone charger in to charge their phone. And then they don't replug my watch in. So I wake up and my watch is dead. So I really thought about it the other day, because I was like, okay, how can I manage this? Because I'm always like, how can I manage this in a way that I'm not like being this naggy, gripey mom? Because I don't like being that person. That's not who I want to be. That's not who I want my kids to see me as. That's not the relationship I want to have with them. They're like 20 and 22. Like, we're not doing that anymore. Wish I never did it, to be honest with you, because it doesn't really work, and it just really screws up the funky energy in your house, makes it funky. So she comes down the stairs, and I was like, so my watch was dead this morning. And she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I go, it really gets my goat. My goat has been gotten. And then we started laughing, and just like lightening the mood and letting the energy, like it hasn't happened since. It could happen again, but it hasn't happened since, because I got that other little cube. So now we've got 2 cubes. But it's interesting what happens when you lighten the mood with somebody. Like, she already felt bad about it. She felt bad about it. She didn't do it on purpose. That's the other thing. Like, people aren't doing things just to piss you off. Maybe you have people like that in your life, but really we don't. If you believe that, that's what you're attracting. That's what you're creating. People that are trying to piss you off. People are not doing that. Most people, I could probably say all people, are really living inside of their heads and just doing what they need to do. Doing what they need to get done, and they're not really thinking about other people. Maybe wrong. You may think that's wrong. I tend to think about people a little more than that. But if you've got people around you that tend to be like that, then that's a tendency for them. For you to expect them to not be in a tendency when they've shown you that tendency will just lead you to being upset and angry, right? Those expectations we put on other people. I say this to my kids all the time. Don't expect people to behave like you would behave, because people have not had your upbringing. People don't have your information. People don't know what you know. And when you expect them to behave a certain way, maybe a way they've never actually acted like before, and you get upset when they don't, it's like the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, expecting a different result from someone who may not even know that what they're doing is upsetting you. So it's really important, if you don't want to struggle in your relationships, to have clear communication. I saw a really funny meme yesterday, and my husband said, I do this, which I thought was funny. And I just want to share it because I had a kind of aha moment when he sent it to me. So, oh, it's not even going to come up. That's great. Maybe it's in my pictures. It was about dysfunctional families. Let's see if I still have it. and it was like walking on eggshells. Okay, wait, here it is. Oh, okay, so I deleted it. Awesome. Love when I delete things that I want to share. It was like dysfunctional families are like not saying what needs to be said, like sweeping everything under the rug, walking on eggshells because you're afraid of someone else's emotions, always pleasing other people and doing what they want. And my husband's like, I do all of these things. And it's funny because as a father of 4 daughters, plus a wife, plus a granddaughter, he's got all these women around him. And he really does juggle our emotional fields really, really well. He does it really, really well. But I was like, oh, wow, maybe that's a normal family. It's definitely the family I grew up in. And I do feel like we do better with our kids, but there's still things that we don't acknowledge or talk about because we don't want to upset the apple cart. But then, a lot of times that ends in people yelling at each other. So it's like just being aware and conscious of what you're doing and how you're creating that struggle in your life or how you're creating that struggle in your family, because you can shift the energy. You don't need other people to get on board with you in order to shift the energy of your family or your friends or your spouse or your mate or anybody, your coworkers. You can change your internal dialogue, which will essentially change your external field, what's happening in your external field, because you're the one that conducts the energy field. Now, if you're not at that place, because that's like really letting go of victimhood, that's letting go of blame, that's being in a place spiritually awakened, not saying that anyone's above anybody else, but if you're not there yet, it's incremental as far as like creating the awareness and then moving forward from a place where you're not blaming, where you're going, all right, where's my stuff in this? Where can I hold the responsibility so that I can change things? Because if you are in the victim blame game, you have no power to change anything. That's where a lot of powerlessness comes from, because you're like, this person is this way and there's nothing I can do about it. That cuts the energy field right there. That doesn't allow for any kind of change or millimeter shifts or anything. And most of the time in struggle, it really is a tiny little shift. It's a little shift in the way you feel. It's a little shift in the way you perceive. It's a little shift in what energy you're putting out into the world that changes everything. It's so amazing to me that we don't have to make these big leaps of faith, big leaps of quantum leaps of change. We don't have to do that, but we can. We can do that as well. We can make huge leaps of faith and change our entire lives like that and move forward in the direction of what we really want, especially if for a long time you've been struggling with a dream. Been there, done a lot of that, struggling for years with a dream that I wanted to move out west, that I wanted to have our whole lives change, that I wanted to do something different that no one had done before. I wanted to live somewhere that felt like paradise. We were coming back from Santa Barbara and I told my husband, it's so cool to leave a place that's beautiful and has beaches and palm trees and not feel sad because I'm going home to a place that's maybe even better because it's my home. It's really a good feeling. So, but that didn't come without sacrifice and struggle and needing to overcome that resistance to the idea of getting rid of everything we owned and moving somewhere we had never really been. We'd only been here once. So in that struggle, asking yourself, where is my edge? Where is my struggle? What am I struggling about? What are the thoughts I'm putting towards this? It wasn't until we got really excited and started to believe in the possibility of it that anything started to happen at all. All right, so here are some ways you struggle: financially, emotionally, physically, if you've got some physical ailments, or if you're overweight or not eating healthy, or not doing good things for your body so that your body feels good so that you ever feel like being physical. I see a lot of that. We have a very, very unhealthy society. We got to take our power back. We absolutely do. I heard a study the other day that and this is not to be gloom and doomy, this is like the reality of it is 1 in 5 kids are obese right now. And now they're coming out with shots for these kids. And I'm just like, what? we got to change the way we eat, people. We got to eat better. We got to do better. And it's not to say, one of the rabbit holes you can go down that's really easy to struggle with is like all of our food doesn't have good stuff in it. And it's like, yes, there are foods. You just have to be selective. You got to be more selective these days. Okay. Spiritually, there was a post recently from somebody that is a friend of mine on Facebook about just feeling lost. Like that's a spiritual struggle, feeling lost. Hello. I think we probably all go through it. And then I'll get these hits of like, this is an illusion and you're on a soul's journey and everything is your expansion and growth and you're in the perfect time right now. Like I get these little voices that tell me this higher state of consciousness, this infinite intelligence that comes to me that says, you're in the perfect place for more. And I want you to know that you're in the perfect place for more, that your struggle is what's going to lead to the clarity of change. Your struggle is what's going to open things up for you. It's going to allow you to live something differently. It's going to allow you to get to know yourself better. Those spiritual, I had a friend who, geez, this was so crazy. Imagine this, if you've been struggling for a little while. She was in a dark, deep depression for 2 years. For 2 years, she said she couldn't lift her head off the pillow. That she literally had her eyes down to the ground. And it was this big spiritual awakening for her. And I know many people that have gone through eating disorders. I know in our family, we've had some disordered eating stuff going on where, people were not in control of the consumption of food, and they were kind of working against themselves. And there was this dark, deep voice inside of them. And that was a huge awakening. And when they awakened, they became these beautiful, spiritual, thriving, healthy women. So there's things that we all go through that lend us to that spiritual awakening. And often it comes on the heels of major contrast, whether it's a death of a loved one, especially the unexpected ones, the ones that you didn't have time to prepare yourself for, divorce, job losses, all the big things that happen in life where you feel like your life will never be the same again. Those are part of this really important spiritual growth and intention for you to get to know yourself better, to get to know your strengths, your wisdom, your gifts, and your talents. All right. Spiritually, relationally, like your relationships, purpose. I would go purpose is probably a big spiritual one as well. Substances, addictions, any addictions, like anything that you don't have control over that you feel like is kind of taking away from your life. All struggle is connected to your own neural loops and tendencies. It's all about that mind training and up levels. Like we're being up leveled through all of this. How many times have you gone through something really dark and struggled and really scary, and you came out of it and you were like, our world in the last couple of years came out of it with so much gratitude, so much wisdom, so much perception, because you went through that thing so many times. And how often do you actually take any sort of credit for manifesting through that, for getting yourself on the other side of that? Usually you don't do it until you start talking to someone and you start telling them, and they're in a place where you were before, like a little bit further back, and you start sharing all the wisdom and the gifts and the tools that you use to get yourself through it, and you give them the belief to get through it. That's when you start to feel the real satisfaction of what you went through and go, oh yeah, that's why I had to go through that. That's part of the reason why I had to go through that, so that I could get to this place where I can share really great things. All right. So what are upgrades exactly? I feel like I'm going through an upgrade right now. I'll tell you what happens when I go through upgrades, and maybe you can relate to this, but I am seeing some of this as well. So I know that collectively it's definitely happening. So I get like headaches, like super, super duper headaches that I wake up in the middle of the night with. I usually have for part of the morning, and then towards the afternoon, they start to fade, or I can go a couple days with like a serious headache. No energy, super low energy, just not really feeling like creating anything or doing anything at all, as far as like making calls or trying to get things done for the house, like things like that. It's like bare minimum. That's where I feel like just bare minimum, just get what I need to get done, do as much resting as I can. Yesterday, I took a nap. Now, we were on vacation, so we had a lot of fun. We did a lot of things. We did a lot of biking. We did a lot of walking, drinking, eating desserts, like things that we don't normally do. So I'm sure my body in itself is going through a little bit of a detox right now. But yesterday, I took one of these naps, and I don't know if you've ever had a nap like this, because normally, like, my naps are a napitation. So I put a meditation on and I'll do like 30 minutes and I'm good to go. And I'm not even really sure if I go to sleep. I feel like it's a higher state of consciousness. Yesterday, we had plumbers here all day. I got some new toilets. Whew, adulting. That always feels good. And I went outside and it was warm out and I laid on the couch out there and I went down hard. I think it was an hour and a half that I fell asleep. And it was one of those naps where you feel, I don't know if you've ever felt this before, but I feel like energy is just pushing me down. Like when I wake up, my hands are really heavy, my arms are heavy, and it's like I can't wake up. That to me is a spiritual upgrade. You are upgrading your cells, your DNA, the whole structure of your being is being up leveled because you're allowing that activation to happen because you're allowing yourself to rest. Doesn't happen to me as much at night, but I will say my night sleeping has been super duper deep, like barely getting up to go to the bathroom, which is rare for me. So those upgrades, you'll need deeper sleep. You'll need more rest. You'll need to kind of not be in as many conversations or be with as many people. So if you're feeling like that withdrawal, that is a spiritual upgrade. Also, illness. Anytime like you feel this cold or especially stomach flus, those are releasing lower vibrational energies to allow you to up level. Think about anytime you've ever been sick, how you feel afterwards and the gratitude you have for your health. Sickness can also be an invitation to be healthier. It's like, okay, if you're going to take me for granted, then it's going to get worse. And then when you get better, hopefully you're going to do something about your health and allow yourself to create more vitality. There's too many people that are not taking their health into their hands and doing what they need to do to live a long, prosperous, vital life. If you don't have your health, I feel like you have nothing, honestly. If you can't walk around freely in the world, and like our vacation, being able to bike, we biked 6 miles both days, walked miles because this beach was incredible and it kept going. So we kept walking. Being able to do that is so amazing. It really is, because you're taking in the world. You're allowing yourself to take in the world. You are not relying on anybody else. You're moving your own body. You're being able to be free to do that. It's one of the most, I think, important things. So in all of those struggles, the main component of all of those struggles is the way that you're thinking about it. So the way you're thinking about your finances, I will tell you from really big experiences, bankruptcy, house foreclosure, cars repossessed, losing everything we owned. I will tell you from that experience that there was a huge spiritual awakening through that, but there was a very big conduction of anxiety, lack of money, always feeling like we didn't have enough. There were conversations around that. There was indication around that. There was evidence around that. Struggle. And we were in this company at the time, a network marketing company that really helped to start shift us. And we would tell our story every week of struggle. And there was one day when we realized we had to stop doing that because we were just tuning into the struggle. And it was after that things really started to change. And then when we went through that financial struggle again, it was having that awareness, but also realizing money's an energy. And the better we feel and the more grateful we are, the more money is going to come. The less we worry about it, the more we let it go, the more we just focus on our love, laughter, being together, family, and yes, creating income. That was definitely at the top of our list. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to sit around and wait for the government to take care of me, or I'm going to sit around and put out GoFundMes for people to take care of me. That's a low vibrational field. It really is. And we had to ask people for money several times. It was my least favorite thing that I've ever had to do. Did we get money from people? Yes. It felt awful. Yes. It humbled us. Yes. But also, I don't think, I mean, there were a few times that it absolutely saved our lives, I think, but it doesn't inspire you to be a powerful creator when you're asking other people to give you something. It doesn't inspire that energy. It doesn't inspire that feeling of pride, that feeling of I did it, that feeling of empowerment. It actually keeps you down, especially if you've been doing it for a while. So if you want to get out of the financial struggle, it's taking what you have, it's being really grateful for it. My daughter messaged me the other day and she said, I can't believe I only have $50 left in my account. And I said, you got $50 in your account. That's great. That's awesome. And she's a creator and she's constantly creating income. So the fact that she still worries sometimes boggles my mind, but it's where she's at in her progress, in her spiritual progress, in her progress here as a human. So understanding that the more anxiety, resistance, and struggle you have around that financial field, the harder it's going to come. The harder and slower it's going to come. It's like letting go, just letting go, letting it go for as much and as long as you can, and trusting and believing and having faith that you've got this universal support, that miracles happen, that everything's going to be okay. Don't worry about a bill that's not due for 2 weeks. Like, don't put yourself in that state. Do something about it, but worrying is not doing something about it. Okay, so then when it comes to emotional struggles, it's just neural loops. It's just pathways. And I understand that you may have labels that are really hard to get out of, but listen to your language. I am depressed. I am mentally ill. I am bipolar. Listen to your language, because your language is what you identify with. It's how you identify. And as you identify, you create. So if you don't want to have issues like that anymore, you have to move yourself out of it. You have to move it and say, I am is such a strong statement. You can say, I am feeling depressed, right? But you don't have to be depressed. I'm feeling depressed is very different. So taking those feelings and understanding that what are the thoughts underneath them, really digging in, drilling down, journaling, and digging into, why am I feeling this way? Why am I allowing myself to feel this way? Why did I feel a dip in my vibration? And a really silly thing happened the other day, but it's a good indication of this. I was on a Laguna Beach page. I have 2 pages that I love, and I always post on there. And somebody had said they were going to clean up the page because there was a lot of like spammers in there. And this girl had commented and said, "Oh, we have a page for our town, and we don't let anybody else in that's not in our town." And I don't live in Laguna Beach. I live like 10 minutes from there, but I'm there all the time. And I got really sad. And I was like, oh, I hope you're not going to take us out if we don't live there. Now, nothing happened. The guy he wasn't going to take me out. He didn't threaten to take me out. But it was interesting how my mind went to that place of being kicked out of this group and how injustice that, like, for 5 minutes I went there and I could feel it. And I remember I was talking to somebody else and I could feel that I was a little upset about something. And I was like, wait a minute. What am I upset about? Nothing's even happened. How many times do we do this? We like run down the road with something that hasn't even happened. And it's like what we don't want to happen, and it hasn't even happened, but we take ourselves there. It happens so many times. That is a neural loop. That's a neural pathway that you have allowed to kind of run your mind and not had any control over. Hopefully you will now if you haven't before. Okay. So physically, if you have physical ailments, I will honestly say I lived in a problem-oriented way with that for a long time with neck issues and things. And I found a solution by getting really upset about one set of solutions that was like so grossly overpriced, and becoming very determined to find something that was doable and made sense for me. So ask yourself, with the physical ailment, have I been in this problem for a long time? Do I wake up every day and identify with it? Do I use it as an excuse to not live my life? These are they can be hard concepts, especially if you have something that's like really challenging, but nothing needs to hold you back. There does not need to be any limitations in your life. And because our cells regenerate so often, We have the ability to heal anything, even if you had a doctor tell you that it was incurable. There's been so many miracles. So many people have cured themselves from things that were supposedly incurable. I've seen so many people miraculously get better. Spiritually, I'm going to do spiritual and purpose together. So spiritually, if you feel like you're spiritually struggling, where you feel like you're kind of lost and you don't know where to go, welcome to the human race. I feel like it's something that a lot of people, and there's a lot of people running around there looking super confident, and they got all these TikTok followers and they got all these Instagram followers, and they got all these pictures of their happy families, and they really look like they have it all together, and then you hear they're getting a divorce. A lot of it is just, it's perception, because super confident people that say that they have it all figured out and they're going to tell you what to do and they're going to charge you a lot of money to do that. Nobody has it figured out. Nobody has it figured out unless you're like a serious guru. You're a human. We're all human, and we all have expansion and growth to go through. And no one finishes their growth here. Like, I don't believe that. I believe we're all expanding and growing until the end of time, which there is no end to time, I believe. So if someone's telling you that they are super confident and you're believing them, and maybe they're making you feel better about yourself, and that's great, just be aware. Just be aware, because a lot of times super confident people, they're not so confident inside, right? Right. All right. So that's one other thing that I wanted to touch on when it comes to struggle is jealousy and comparison. So that's a good segue into that. I had somebody say that they were jealous on my post the other day, and no beef. I totally get it. It was something that I used to say quite often myself, like, oh, I'm so jealous. And I will catch myself, seeing somebody doing something and feeling a little bit of like, FOMO or whatever. And honestly, jealousy and comparison is something that it really does mess with your flow of blessings, because you're putting out an energy towards that person, first of all, that's not good, right? And secondly, the energy that's coming back to you basically is saying like, why did they get that and I don't? And that is a misalignment in the energy field. If you could take everybody out there and look at them and say, oh my gosh, they're evidence to me that this exists and it's in my field, and get excited about it, you would align yourself with it. My husband and I, we see the same doctor, and we go to a functional medicine doctor, and our appointments were right next to each other yesterday. So I kind of hijacked the end of his appointment, and we're sitting there, and our doctor was saying like, come on, find me a husband. She's like, I really want to be in a relationship like you guys have. Like, she's so enamored by our relationship and the way we are with one another. And she knows a lot of intimate details. So she said to me, like, she kept saying to me, do you guys know how rare this is? Do you know how rare it is for you guys to be so connected and so rich and strong? And we get that. But what I said to her was, we are evidence. We are sitting in your office together, showing you that it's possible. So if you can get rid of that jealousy feeling, and like as soon as you feel it pop up, if you can shift that millimeter shift into being happy for someone. I always say to people, I'm like, I would be jealous, but I love you too much. I love you so much. I love seeing you expand. I love seeing you grow. I love seeing you make it in life. I love seeing you happy and joyful and experiencing things. So if you can move into that, it'll help you to connect with the energy of what that person is living that you really are after. Like going into these beach communities, which I just love so much. I love this little neighborhood we were in. That was the other thing. The neighborhood we were in was so, so cute. And it was on a bike trail, and the bike trail was covered in flowers. Like, I've never seen so many colors of flowers in my life. I'll probably put a reel up soon. I need my husband to send me the video as we're biking. And I'm just like, I love this, because my whole intention is to live in a beach town where I can bike and walk to places and get to the beach, walk to the beach. Totally what I want. Now, looking at all these people who live around the beach, do you think I'm jealous? No, I'm really excited because I'm living it, right? I'm still living it, even though I'm renting somebody's okay Airbnb, I'm still living it. So I'm putting myself in the vibrational alignment of it. So whatever you're struggling with, ask yourself, is it necessary? Do you really want to keep doing that? Do you want to change that? Do you want to get out of that? Do you want to experience something new? Do you want life to give you something new to expand and grow from? So in that struggle, you look at what you've got and you say, all right, this is the energy I've been promoting to this. Maybe you take every area of your life and you say, all right, this is the way I've been feeling about this. This is the way I've been thinking about this. How do I want to think and feel? And put yourself in the shoes as much as you possibly can of that person who's already living it. And you do some visualization exercises. And visualization exercises are not for anything except to bring your energy field to that level. So if you're visualizing and you're not really feeling it, or it's kind of aggravating you because you're like, I'm not living that and it's a dream, stop. Same thing with mantras. If you're not feeling them, if you're not feeling affirmations, you need to step away from it for a little bit until you get into the feeling place, because the feeling is the manifestation. Once you have the feeling, you are in direct alignment with the being that person. So letting go of struggle, there's no reason to struggle. In fact, struggle is really working against you. It really is. Whatever you're struggling with, it's working against you. And it's part of a human mechanism. So if you're beating yourself up for it, that's another struggle. You don't want to do that. It's part of the human mechanism to grow, to learn, to process, to expand. And wherever you are right now is so perfect. It's so perfect for you to get to the next level, the level that you are interested in, the level that you are desiring. There's nothing stopping you. The only thing that makes you struggle and limits your potential is your own mind. So how do you get out of that mindset? You read more, you listen more, you put things in your mind that help to change it. I listen to a lot of things. I a lot of times have YouTubes on and different things to expand and grow. I read a lot too. I love to read. So work on yourself. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Work on yourself. Work on that internal game, because that's the richness. That's the currency. And understand that, in this world out here, we quantify everything. We have a real big thing in our society where we quantify success and everything by money, right? Money or fame, which I'm not sure why you would want that. But money in it is an energy. And if we can understand that there's no little box that we're being put in with money. We have the potential to earn as big and as much as we want based on the worthiness that we feel inside. So that's why it's all an internal game. Once we started to feel more worthy, once we started to feel like, yes, like we started to walk around in that energy field of like, we deserve this. We put out currency in the world is huge. The energy that you put out in the world is huge. And part of the what you get back from that is, yes, it's money. It's being able to live what you most want to live. It's that elevation in your entire human system that allows you to experience things to its fullest potential. So it's not only probable, it's possible for you, especially because you're here and you're listening to this. And I just told you, and you can ride on my belief, you can ride it right into the sunset, because I know, because I've lived it, because I'm living it, because I'm showing other people, I'm seeing it all around me. And it's truth. It's universal law. The law of attraction is always in play. It is always what you can use to become better, what you can use to create the life that you most desire. That is the truth. That is the absolute truth. So study more about that, get really into it. I cannot believe the show is over. I can't believe how fast this went today. I'm just going to really quickly show you my books. My brand new one that just came out is The Perfect Unfolding for the Expansion of Your Soul. These are soulful messages that came through my dreams and other moments of downloads that are really, really important for your spiritual journey. I think you will love it. It's an absolutely beautiful book. I'm so pleased with the way it came out. And then I have my journal. Mindful Manifestations Daily Guide and Journal, 100 pages of content plus journaling. I love this book too. I have a guy who really kills it on my books. Quantum Speak for Parents. These are all available on Amazon. Energetic Parenting, and my first one, Mindful Manifestation Secrets, is also available on Audible. I actually recorded that one as well. So those are all my books right now, and I'm working on 2 more. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for more. I don't know what's happening, but I'm here for it. I'm riding along just like you all are. I'm working on not being in a struggle, because letting things go and having the most fun possible. I've had a really fun summer, and I'm just going to keep that going because I love summer, and I live in California, so it feels like summer. Feels really like summer right now. But I love you all, and I want you to know that you are in the perfect place for your soul's expansion and growth. And whatever's happening right now, just allow it to be. Just allow it to unfold. Just allow yourself to gain the information you need to make it good. I love you. Peace out.